Hey everybody, welcome to Ninja Stuff, and this is the part 2 in the PPC Mastery course. And we're going to be going over a number of things in this section of the PPC Mastery course. In the first part of this training series, we got you set up. And hopefully by now you've got some campaigns that you've actually set up, and you've got some data, and you've got a little bit of experience. You got your feet wet, and you know how to move around the dashboard, and you were able to kind of execute on everything we went over in the section 1 of this training series. In Ninja Stuff, we're going to be going over advanced stuff. We're going to be going over everything from keyword selection and match types, which is what we'll be going over here. And in addition to that, we'll be going all the way through to using AdWords Editor. So today, to get us started, we're going to go over one of the most important aspects for you as a PPC marketer to understand to a very high level degree. And that is keyword selection and match types. And in building a PPC strategy, you need to understand the two different types of keywords you can target and how you set them up as a correct match type in Google AdWords. So let's dive right into a bird's eye view of keyword types. There are generally two different types of keywords that you can do research on and then select to add to your ad groups and campaigns. The first one is going to be your general or short tail keywords. And short tail keywords would look something like this. It would be men's boots, okay? So you see there, it doesn't really tell you, the user hasn't really refined their search query. They don't know precisely what they're, or they haven't given you enough information to tell you precisely what they're looking for. And they're just kind of, this, you would identify this user generally as, this is maybe their first query in their line of research that they're doing to find exactly what they're looking for. So this would be short tail. If you're an online shoe retailer and you sell men's boots, then this would be a keyword that you would most likely at some point decide you want to start driving traffic to your site from. There are a number of pros and a number of cons. I'm going to go over the top pro and the top con with you of targeting general short tail keywords. The top pro is that you're casting a very wide net. You're attracting users who are searching for very general keywords like men's boots, and you're driving a lot of traffic to your site. Generally, if you're in a competitive niche, you would drive a lot of traffic to your site from short tail keywords. The con to short tail keywords is that the user hasn't given you enough information in this search query for you to deliver, for you to craft a good quality targeted piece of ad copy, and then you drive them to a landing page that is specific to their search query. The best you can do in a situation like this, if you're targeting men's boots as the hypothetical example here, and you serve an ad for men's boots, it would talk to them about that you being an online shoe retailer and having men's boots, and then you would drive them to a category page on your site where they can see your full selection of men's boots. And at that point, then you're delivering the most relevant landing page and the most relevant ad copy that you can. However, your likelihood of converting on this is going to be much lower than it would be if you had more information from the user in the search query. So the second type of keyword is a long tail keyword. And a long tail keyword is defined as a very targeted keyword or phrase that typically is longer than 2 to 3 words, and it's very niche and very specific. So the user is very specific about what they're looking for. Generally, this user is either farther along down their research path in trying to find the product or service that they're looking for, or they know exactly what they're looking for right out of the gate. An example of a long tail keyword is a variation of this would be men's vintage brown boots. So this user, I know exactly what they're looking for. They're a man and they're looking for vintage brown boots. And if I have that product, I can then serve a piece of ad copy or write a piece of ad copy to run with this keyword that speaks directly to this user, which increases my click-through rate or my potential for that user to click on my ad. And then I can serve them, once they click on the ad, a very relevant, precisely relevant landing page experience. So if I have men's vintage brown boots, they're going to land on a page on my site, hopefully, that serves them men's vintage brown boots. So let's recap on that. The Pro to general short tail keywords is you cast a very wide net and you'll drive a ton of traffic to your site and you'll expand your audience base. The con is you're typically going to see lower conversion rates with very broad general keywords, and it costs more to target general short tail keywords because it is more competitive. Your long tail keywords are going to give you the ability to target users exactly at their point of intent and know exactly what they're looking for, and then serve them much more relevant content on your landing page experience. The con to long tail keywords oftentimes is you're not going to have a very wide user base to serve ads to. It's usually, if you're doing keyword research, which I'm going to show you here in a second, the vast difference between a long tail and a short tail key phrase. But so your audience base is going to be much smaller than if you were targeting a general or short tail key phrase. Let's come to my screen here for a moment so I can show you the difference in search volume, average monthly search volume according to Google between these two keywords. So this is the aggregate average monthly searches for the key phrase men's boots. 201,000 searches on average, high competition, suggested bid of $1.44. In contrast, the long tail key phrase that we were targeting, men's vintage boots, Google estimates only receives approximately 20 searches per month on average. And you'll see though that the competition is still high. And the reason for that is because savvy marketers, pay-per-click marketers, understand that that key phrase is very valuable, because if you get a user who searches for that long tail key phrase and they click on your ad and you serve them a proper landing page experience, they're much more likely to convert than a user who searched for men's boots and you sent them to a category page, for instance, on your site. So that gives you something to think about. What I would like you to do as your takeaway from this video is I'd like you to go into the Google keyword tool and start experimenting and get a feel for yourself on what the difference between long tail keywords in your space would be and how much traffic would be available to you there, and general, very broad keywords, and take key phrases that apply to your specific industry or space or product or service or whatever it might be, so that you can formulate this as a strategy and kind of set up a habit to look for both sets of keywords when you're building out your campaigns. We'll see you in the next video.